Ron Stewart, what is your favorite structure in current Underdog drafts? Last year when we did this, it was all about getting an elite quarterback with 3 quarterbacks. Are you still doing anything like that this year?
No, I've cooled all the way off on the extreme stuff. We are going this year. The motto is just going vanilla, everything just within the bounds of reality, not trying to push the envelope too much. This year, I've been liking drafting balanced builds. I will say, for the sake of this video, I'll lock in a 3-6-6-3 and maybe even start the draft like 0-3-4-0, if that makes sense. So like you're drafting 3 running backs, you're drafting wide receiver through the flex, and you're worrying about your onesies later. And I think that you've talked about it a bunch as well, where when you have the 3 quarterback side of the build, you get access to more game stacks. And then with the tight ends, at this point, we've seen guys like Jonnu Smith last year and just the nature of the position over the last 5 years, where since Kelsey has kind of gone down at tight end, it really has been the move just to go later with them. So I want to throw quantity at tight end. I want to get access to different kind of game stacks in terms of quarterback. And then that allows me to be fine with like 6 running backs, 6 wide receivers, or like 5 running backs or 7 receivers.
I've been building a lot like that myself. I guess I'll ask you the question I ask myself when I get worried if I'm doing it too much of, am I worried about being underexposed to the elite quarterbacks, specifically Allen, Daniels, and Hurts, and I guess obviously Lamar in there as well. Are you worried about that?
I'm a little worried. I will say you could definitely do something among the lines of like Hurts, and then you go quarterback as like 17th, 18th round picks. But I've been mixing it in. I will say I should definitely glance at kind of where I'm at with those guys. I've been making a conscious effort to mix them in, but also I'm trying to think of how to word this. If I end up like under 10% across Allen, Daniels, and Lamar, but all of them are around like 7 to 9%. I know we're getting into the weeds on that. It feels like I'm at least exposed to elite quarterback, right? That's like what, 20% of the time you're taking elite quarterback. So to me, that kind of checks out. I don't have a player take with any of them where it's like, I love Allen or I love Hurts. And for me, I'm just taking Hurts a bunch if I have Smith and AJ Brown, but I think it's a little tough for the other ones to get set up to, if that makes sense.
No, it does. And that's what makes it tricky. And it's like the Bills stacking options are uninspiring. The Commanders are actually kind of tricky to stack because if you miss out on McLaurin, it gets, dwindles quickly. The Eagles are like the most condensed offense in the NFL, and the AJ Brown and Hurts ADPs don't even line up to stack. So like none of them just feel clean in the way they kind of did last year.
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to sprinkle it in, but I also do like the quantity later because I think that as well, this is an interesting year where I've seen guys, every year it feels like it's the deepest quarterback or the deepest tight end, but this is a year where you have a lot of upside, right? Where if Lawrence really clicks with Cohen, if McCarthy really clicks with O'Connell, and you have a lot of guys like even like CJ Stroud, who we were paying like 6-round prices for last year, is like the same bet, and you can get him in the 11th, 12th round. So it's a really fun environment right now. And even Justin Fields, who I feel like is discounted because we had to pay up for Trey Lance, Anthony Richardson, whoever, we're now getting some discount on that profile. So I do think it is an interesting year in terms of quarterback. I even like Bryce Young late. I even like Cam Ward late. So you can definitely get pretty nasty at quarterback and feel good about it.
All right, favorite player target. This is what all the people tune in for. Who are you putting your cold, hard-earned cash on? Or what? How do you do the YouTube titles now? I'd be willing to bet my entire grandma's life on this player paying off his ADP.
Yep, I would lose the wife and kids to draft Luther Burden in 2025. I have him on over. Here's the funny thing about best ball is I'll see, obviously like hit him with the grid. He'll have like, 90% Elijah Moore on the Bills or something like that. For me, my highest owned player is Luther Burden, just over 30% of drafts. I think that is about reasonable for your highest exposure player, but I want to pick your brain on that after I talk about Burden. But the reason I love Burden is because the bands on the Chicago offense is super wide, and it makes me really nervous to spend up on a DJ Moore or spend up on a Roma Dunze. And I would just rather get these cheap pieces. Like I'm getting a lot of Colston Loveland as well, where Vegas has this offense projected for the 15th most points. Their win total is really high too, like 8.5. And the interesting part is that they have one of the longer Super Bowl odds for a team with 8.5 wins. So that's almost Vegas telling me that this is a very wide range of outcomes, right? I like Ben Johnson, but I've also seen offensive gurus come into places and they don't light the world on fire in year one, or Caleb Williams could just be bad like that. I would hate to see that happen, but he could just be not good at football. So I think there's a lot of upside with this offense, right? With that being said, I could see this offense finishing bottom 10. I could see them finishing top 10 and being the story of the season. But again, I would rather dip my toe in with the high upside bets later on, like a Luther Burden, where he was one of my favorite prospects. I was taking him over Matthew Golden in Dynasty, right? If we turn back the calendar, and I was getting torched for it. But in best ball, we've now hit a spot where rookie wide receivers are as expensive as ever, right? Where Tedero McMillan on the Panthers is like a 39th overall pick, top 10 overall selection. Like Garrett Wilson was a top 10 pick for the Jets, and because he had a bad situation, he was a 7th, 8th round pick. So with Luther Burden, he's in a good situation. Of course, he's not the top of his totem pole in terms of how you can get divvy up targets. You of course have soft tissue injuries, so he's behind in OTAs. But if you're going to give me the mystery box of Luther Burden, who's this high upside prospect drafted at the top of the second round, really strong year two where he was right on pace with Tedero McMillan at Missouri until he had a pretty bad final season. He's one of these guys like 6 foot, 206 pounds, 4.4 speed, 30% plus missed tackles force kind of puts him in like this rare Malik. It's crazy to say Malik Neighbors. I'm not expecting 18 plus points per game as a rookie, but he has this archetype of player that's very exciting, like DJ Moore, Brandon Ayuk. And if that clicks at all, even if for best ball purposes, right, you're drafting him in the 10th round, we look every year, and it's the most harped on thing ever, that rookie wide receivers come alive as the season goes on. But if Luther Burden rose up the depth chart, or something happened, or something broke his way on the Bears offense and they actually were a good offense, it wouldn't shock me if Luther Burden was like this year's version of the rookie breakout of, like Rashee Rice's rookie year, Amon-Ra St. Brown, where the final 6 games he was an absolute stud. So I've been drafting a lot of him myself.
Well, we are in lockstep here. He is my most drafted wide receiver on Underdog. Not quite as high. I do a lot of drafting with co-managers, so that'll balance me out, but I'm at 20% Burden. And yeah, I agree completely. I mean, even thinking about last year, Keon Coleman, Ladd McConkey go in a similar range, second round of the draft. We were drafting those guys in the top 85 picks without blinking. And then you get all of the upgrades in Chicago. I was just seeing today, Ian Harditz from Fantasy Life was tweeting out that they have the most improved offensive line from last year. I think they were 20th ranked to 4th ranked now. Like Ben Johnson in for Shane Waldron, like everything coming together. And then you're telling me that I get to bet on the new guys that the new regime just handpicked in the NFL draft over the incumbents that were kind of shaky last year. It's like, man, this is an opportunity. You say like, oh, the Garrett Wilson rookie year price, that's never going to happen again. This is pretty close to it happening again. So I am very much on board with that. How about your favorite stack, though, other than, grabbing Caleb Williams with Luther Burden?
Which I like to do a lot. That was almost my answer for this question, was Caleb to Burden or Caleb to Loveland. But I'm going to go with the Tua to Achane, Tyreek Waddle. If you want to throw in Darren Waller, you absolutely can, especially in those 3 tight end builds, right? Sort of wrapping up to the top. But Tua is one of 4 quarterbacks on Mike Clay's projections to be projected for over 600 pass attempts. We're going to see a lot of volume. And I really like the upside of the play, where I think Tua's going in like the quarterback 20s, which I get that he has this label of injury prone. And I get that it's a different kind of injury prone because he has another concussion. Maybe they shut him down or something. But he's kind of proved that he also just doesn't really care, and he wants to play regardless. Like, I don't know, for timers on the table, I think it would have happened by now, as crazy as it is to say. But over the last 2 years, he's played 41 games. Some other quarterbacks, Lamar's played 45 over that span, Burrow 43, Lawrence 43, Stafford less with 40, Dak less with 37. And it's not like we're drafting less of Puka or less of, CeeDee Lamb because his quarterback has played less games than Tua over the last 2 years. And in terms of points per game, Tua was the QB 13 last year, QB 16 before that, QB 9 before that. And we've just seen McDaniel have good offenses. I know it wasn't great this past year, but they have decided smartly, in my eyes, to not run this thing through Jonnu Smith again. They made a good free agent signing. They drafted a guard in the 2nd round, I believe, as well. So at least they're trying to get this offensive line back together. And this truly is a make or break year for, honestly, like this entire regime. Like whoever gave the contract to Tua, McDaniel still being a coach in this league, that is all on the line this year. Like if this team goes 7-10, 6-11, like McDaniel gets fired, who knows where Tyreek goes? Like this is kind of make or break for them. So I like the idea of betting on that upside. And to me, it's the perfect bet with Tua because you could obviously stack him with Achane, where without Jonnu, I think it sets up Achane really nicely in terms of the aligned around a line of scrimmage, schemed up touches. And then you have Tyreek Hill and Waddle, where they're almost negatively correlated, where you can stack him to Tyreek and say, well, Tyreek is still Tyreek. He's going to get 1,700 receiving yards. He's the guy. Or you miss on Tyreek early and you stack to Waddle, where it's like, okay, maybe Tyreek is a little washed and Waddle is the player that, at least on a per route basis, he's been amazing. You can compare him to like Devontae Smith, Nico Collins, guys in the same draft class, and yards per route run over his entire career, points per game, all of that, he holds up to them. He just had a weird run these last 2 years of like injuries, and then last year the offense just being completely untenable. And now, if he is still that guy, if Tyreek is a little washed on the back end of his career, Waddle all of a sudden could be like a top 12 guy. So I've been like taking a lot of Tua. You can get him super late. And then again, you can, if you'd like to, tack on Darren Waller at the end, but that's not my favorite.
Yes, I've been struggling with that one as well, but I do like the Miami stuff, even with the prices starting to rise a little bit. How about your favorite Galaxy Brain idea? Anything here that's a little off the beaten path or maybe not too popular?
I think this is more of just like, I wouldn't call it OCD, but it's more of just like liking how it matches up. I did it on my stream the other day of 3 quarterbacks, and I stacked all 3 to the tight ends, and it just looked pretty. And I think especially when you go late tight end, right? When we're drafting tight ends into like tight end, round 15, round 16, round 17, and these guys are an absolute prayer. Maybe you hit on a guy just like in the dark, but I like correlating it to the quarterback, where if you do, kind of take what we talked at the top end and you take 3 quarterbacks late, 3 tight ends late, I like correlating them together. Like if we're going to be behind the 8 ball at both positions, why not put your eggs all in one basket? Where if you're going to bet on, I was going to use Tua, but I'm not going to use Tua. If you're going to bet on Michael Penix, like maybe Kyle Pitts has a good year. Or if you're going to bet on Cam Ward, maybe this is where Chigo Okonkwo can at least give you a couple weeks when you need it. And you can kind of go down the board there, right? Jordan Love with Tucker Kraft and Justin Herbert with some tight ends we'll talk about in a little bit here. But I just like the idea of matching it up all together, hoping that quarterback ascends. And then really all you're hoping for when you're punting off tight end like that is that you just get the right pattern of spike weeks, and correlating that with your quarterback, I think, is a smart decision. But I will be honest with you, this is one of the few things I don't have backed up by all the stats. I haven't looked into the RotoViz Explorers or whatever, but it's a gut feeling.
No, well, like here, let me try to back it up with more bro science, but I think makes sense in a very intuitive way. Tight ends at the top of the board, Trey McBride, Brock Bowers, they can feast in very different circumstances. Like Trey McBride had plenty of games last year where Kyler was just meh for fantasy because he was such an accumulator, even in half point PPR. Those late tight ends are so fringe and they're so touchdown dependent that they really are just a byproduct of the offense. And we see these like outlier fringe seasons from tight ends happen when the offense exceeds expectation. Like you get the seasons where Dalton Schultz has 5 or 6 touchdowns or Cade Otton has 5 or 6 touchdowns. Those guys are not special talents, but they were just part of an offense that was really high flying and scoring a ton. And so I'm completely with you. Like I want to correlate my fringe tight ends on those bets, and like Jatavian Sanders with Bryce Young. You mentioned Chig with Cam Ward. Like those are the exact kind of pairings. And the fact that you can do it cheap, I think, is very attractive. So it sounds like you spoiled this a little bit, but what's your favorite 18th round low-owned dart right now?
Yeah, my favorite low-owned dart is going to be Tyler Conklin. A little bit of Jets bias, right? I am a Jets fan. He did play for the Jets. He had a video people were killing him for where he's running routes against air. I will say, I like the buzz cut. I like the buzz cut. That's nice. I like to see that. But he's somebody where over the last 3 years, he's had 50 or more catches. He's on 8% of my teams. I think that ETR has him at like 17% projected ownership or whatever you DFS guys are on about. I think that would qualify for this question. And to me, I think that like he's not gonna crush, but I think he's live for like 50 catches, 500 yards, 5 touchdowns. Which if you get that in the 18th round, not many people have him. I think that's a good piece to have. You can stack directly to Justin Herbert, because I even liked him at a Syracuse or Ande Gadsden, like the 2nd or the 3rd. I think that his dad played in the league, but he's a tweener tight end, which has been something that I've really been diving into recently with like guys like Max Toscano, I believe is his name, and Jacob Sanderson talking about like these receiving weapon tight ends like a Kyle Pitts or like a Dalton Kincaid haven't worked recently because we're in this modern NFL. Teams are running the ball, right? Derrick Henry, etc. And you're just not going to have a situation where if your tight end can't block, they can't play in line, and then you're better off with a slot receiver. So it puts them in this tweener spot. That's where Gadsden is. He's very raw. I think Conklin immediately is just going to be their tight end one. I think he's going to run 60 to 70% plus of their routes and just be a guy who moves the chains like he's been his entire career. And tight end gets so ugly where you're looking through, you're looking like Elijah Arroyo. You're looking at, like, as soon as Jawan Johnson's gone, you're looking like JT Sanders, who you're talking through, the Carolina tight ends where you have JT Sanders, you have Tommy Tremble, you have Mitchell Evans, who they just drafted. So I don't know. I think Tyler Conklin, to me, should be at the top of that list, and he's not.
Yeah, I guess the one fly in the ointment, do you just think Will Dissly is just kind of donezo?
Yeah, I just think he's not very good. Would be my holdup. If he took meaningful routes away from Conklin, that obviously wouldn't be good. But I don't know. I guess they sort of saw what they had in Dissly last year. They weren't super impressed. I do like Conklin. He has been this guy who's just stuck around and caught balls his entire career.
All right, let's see if we can pull off some of Ron's favorites in a Best Ball Mania draft here. We, of course, got the $2 million top prize here that we're going to chase in a draft. Let's see if we can pull it off. To the races in this draft, we got the 112 here, which it used to be like groaning, like, hey, I don't get the 101. This year, I feel like getting 2 of the top 15, 16 players is like my favorite place to be in. Do you like the back end of the drafts as well?
I agree, but I think it's a little overrated. I do wonder. Right. I feel like every year we're like, oh, we love so many of these players. Like, put me at the back, and then advancement rates roll around, and it's just like, having like the 105 was the meta because that's where the RB1 went. So we'll see. But I will say I do agree with the sentiment that the top 15 or so is really nice.
Yep. All right, we're on the clock. Amon-Ra, Genty, Derrick Henry, Achane, London. What do you like here?
I would say definitely Amon-Ra. I don't want to go, so definitely lock us in for Amon-Ra. I don't want to go like super vanilla, but I feel like Amon-Ra, Genty is where I would usually go. But I do really like Achane, and we did talk about the Tua Dolphin stack stuff, so I wouldn't hate Achane here.
Yeah, let's do Achane. I think that makes sense, especially with the Achane Tua stack. Obviously, there's no tight ends that we're debating here. Let's go ahead and grab Achane. I believe this was I did Best Ball Breakfast on Monday, and I did a start like this as well, and kind of like the Achane Amon-Ra pairing there.
Yeah, and I'll be honest too, it sucks because I feel like I'm. I talked through Luther Burden or someone like, I'm on the forefront of, I like leaning into these rookies with upside, and it sucks so bad that I'm drafting some Genty. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm drafting some Genty, but I wish I could get fired up about his price. Like, 14th here is nice, but his ADP is like 11th. Most of the time you have to take him like 10th or 11th. And I think he's going to be good. Don't get me wrong, I think he's going to be good, but like also he's on a Raiders offense who has like a bottom 5 offensive line, like bottom 10 implied points total for Vegas. You can talk yourself into the pace and everything, but and if you just look at, like, I've been doing a lot of looking at, and this is part of me coming back down to earth. I've been becoming a projection bro, where I'm not sorting my projections and those are my rankings, but I think that it's good to be grounded in reality a little bit more than I have been in the past. So I at least like to look at just kind of like, let's not get absurd here. Let's not put a 17 point per game Derrick Henry behind like an 11 point per game upside pick, right? Like, that's just, at the end of the day, that can't, over the long run, that can't be working. So I just want to be grounded in reality. And his projection is like, in terms of Mike Clay and Rich Rebar kind of averaging them together in half PPR, it's like 14 points per game, less than Derrick Henry, less than Devon Achane, kind of in the Bucky Irving, Jonathan Taylor area. Now, I'm still taking him because I do believe in the talent and everything like that, but the baseline expectation, and we've seen it now with Bijan, and Gibbs wasn't crazy as a rookie. It's like, I don't know. There's a chance that he gives you like 14 points per game, and he like almost silently kills your roster.
Yes. I'm with you on the Genty kind of hesitation. I do agree that the sticker shock goes a little bit away when he's more in this 14 to 16 range. I do think, there's a huge opportunity cost to me in passing on Neighbors, Thomas, Amon-Ra. But I do like that we get Achane here. I do think, as you outlined in your favorite target, I love the correlation of Achane and Tua because it's a bounce back bet on the offense, where if this was coming off of 2023, Achane, in that offense, first round pick, Tua coming off being a much higher draft pick, probably a top 100 pick. So we're essentially trying to correlate the entire bounce back. And who are going to be the biggest beneficiaries? Well, the quarterback and the running back in that scenario. So even though we're always going to get the team level correlation, I think specifically this year at their discounted prices, they are the ones that benefit the most. And I also think Tua's price hasn't really risen with this news, even in the way Tyreek Hill's inched up, Jalen Waddle is inched up, but everyone's still kind of like, I don't want to touch Tua.
Yeah, exactly. I get he hasn't run, but again, like I listed them like QB 13, like he's been a back end QB1 or high end QB2 in points per game, like every year with McDaniels. It just comes down to how many games he played. And even last year, he played like, I don't know, like 10 to 13. It wasn't a great pick, don't get me wrong, but it was like the cheapest he's been. And I was looking back to like Achan's rookie year. People forget, man. Like he had a 12.6% explosive run rate. Gibbs was the leader last year with 10%. So it's just like, if he could even get back to 80% of that crazy rookie year efficiency, we're cooking with gas.
That's right. Let's see what we're going to cook with here at the 3-4 turn. Allen comes off the board. Kittle goes here. JSN falls. Breece Hall, your Jets guys here. Kyron, Jaden Daniels, Tet McMillan. What do you like?
I like, let's stay balanced. Let's go JSN Breece Hall here. I love Breece. JSN at the 312 is fine by me, even in half PPR. Doesn't feel great, but
yeah,
I don't hate it.
Yeah, I like JSN at this price a lot. I feel like the market has maybe reacted a little bit. When the drafts opened up, he was kind of like a 2-3 turn pick, and then everyone started being like, man, Sam Darnold, like this offense could suck. Offensive line issues. I feel like it's almost swung too far in the other direction. Where he's going to project for so many targets, had the breakout last year post Waldron. I'm really into him. And I want to get your thoughts though on Breece Hall, because he's such a controversial selection right now. I think there were some quotes even floating from The Athletic where they were using a comparison that he would be the Gibbs to Braylon Allen's David Montgomery, which that's a fun comparison if they were the Lions, but they're the Jets. And so does being in a split backfield with a David Montgomery on a worse offense excite you at this price tag?
Yes, as crazy as it is to say.
Let's go.
I really like Breece Hall this year. It just feels like even when he let you down last year, he was at like, I don't know, like 14 points per game. I toggle between PPR and half PPR in my head, but maybe like 12 and half, like 14 in full. But he killed you because you were taking him 104. But at this price, if he did exactly what he did last year, he'd be like fine. It still wouldn't be a great experience. Don't get me wrong. It wouldn't be fun. He wouldn't be smashing advance rates, but you're getting a huge discount on a guy who was going next to Bijan and Gibbs last year and is still in the prime of his career. And to me, it's just like, I think Aaron Glenn's just like talking up all of his guys. Like Braylon Allen's cool in theory, but he also wasn't, he had a couple of good runs early in the year. And then he also was a guy who was just like running into guards and centers last year and like wasn't amazing down the stretch. And for me, I think it's just going to be a run heavy team. So I think that we're going to see the pie of running back usage for the Jets be as big as it's been during Breece's career, where it's going to be very run heavy. And then also, I think Breece ends up second on this team in targets. I think he does. Like you look at after Garrett Wilson, it's Lazard, who I have drafted a couple times. I maybe should have mentioned him as the 18th round guy, but
I would have booted you off the video right there. So I'm glad you didn't.
Arian Smith, like it's nothing, dude. So I could see him getting some run as just like, like a weapon or whatever they start calling those guys, or like a Sean Payton Joker kind of guy. But then also I'm just like very bullish on this rushing offense in general. I think it's going to be run heavy. They've invested so much in, like, I can't stress enough, as someone that was a huge fan during 2010, when, you're talking like Nick Mangold and you're talking through Alan Faneca and you're talking through the Brickashaw Ferguson, one of the greatest names of all time. This is an amazing offensive line. They take Fashanu last year, top 10. They take Membu this year, top 10. We have a 6'6" center from Wisconsin who's really good, Joe Tittman as well. The guards are solid. So I think they're going to move people up front, and you get the added benefit of like kind of the Lamar, Derrick Henry. Now, of course, it's not the same type of team here, but you do get the added benefit that Fields is going to open up rushing lanes, give him efficiency, and just kind of make it where we get the Breece Hall that we've been accustomed to. We're actually seeing breakaway runs, and they're doing more outside zone stuff, which is a little bit above my pay grade, but I think that's going to open things up for Breece on the outside as well, instead of kind of just smashing him into the back of guards and centers. So I'm very excited. I think that he has receiving upside. I think that he's going to get back to being efficient. And I think there's going to be 3 guys involved in this backfield, but I don't think it's going to be some like unsurmountable split.
Yeah, and I pulled up here because I referenced the biggest improvements in O-line. The Bears #1 I mentioned, but there you are. The Jets there, #4, +8 from 17th last year to +9th. So the fact too that, things got pretty dark for Bric last year as far as that environment, how things were functioning.
He played through an injury at the end too. Not to cut, that was the back end too, where if you remember, there was like up in the air if he was going to play or not, and then he did kind of against his better judgment. So it was just really ugly.
All right, we're about to be on the clock at the 5-6 turn. We got Achane and Bric. We got Amon-Ra and JSN. No quarterbacks or tight ends that are really interesting to us here. So we're looking at potentially Kamara, Rome, Juwan Jennings, James Conner. Rome goes. Olave, Trevion, Addison. This is a choose your own adventure. Who do you like here?
God, I hate that I'm going to do this on a Pete Overs video. I think I like Kamara as our first pick here. I would usually like Jennings. Are we spooked by the contract stuff today? I'm not super spooked, but I'm not thrilled.
I'm not thrilled, but I'm honestly not spooked. He has very little leverage. I don't think he's getting traded. He already said he's not going to hold out at camp, so I don't know what we're doing.
Let's go. I like Jennings or Olave. You got a preference?
Well, we just did. You want to do Olave since we did Kamara and double up on Saints? I also think it fits in nicely with your triple onesie because Tyler Shuck is free, and you mentioned Juwan Jennings, Juwan Johnson. So that's a really stack. So you could just rip it in cheaply on the Saints. I think the thing I've been trying to think through is I have some of these breakout offenses that I could really see taking a leap relative to their prices. Titans, obviously, one, get Cam Ward. I really like year 2 of the Panthers with Bryce and all this young talent there. I'm trying to ask myself, could the Saints be that? Can Tyler Shuck be Bo Nix and do what Bo Nix did for the Denver offense? Because they don't have a lot of other young pieces. It is these vets like Olave and Kamara. And so I don't know. Can you squint and see a breakout for the Saints?
I could squint and see it, man. Like Kellen Moore has been the OC of good offenses. We're bad as a collective at saying what quarterback is even good, right? Like everybody had CJ Stroud, or the NFL had CJ Stroud behind Bryce Young. And Tyler Shuck, I don't know. It would be a shock if he was actually really, really good, but I've seen crazier things, man. Like I didn't expect Bo Nix to be that good. I thought he was gonna be good, but he was really good last year. And even if he's just fine, I think that would be a win.
Yep. Amon-Ra, Devon Achane, JSN, Breece Hall, Kamara, Olave. We got our 3 running backs, our 3 wide receivers. We're set up nicely for our triple onesie. I mean, Goff, Darnold, Shuck, even Fields and Tua. We got lots of late quarterbacks here to pull this off. And as we head to the board, we got Judkins, who, as we are recording this, is continuing to fall in drafts post news. Pollard, Mahomes, Downs, Aaron Jones,
begging
Brian
for
Robinson.
Downs. On my hands and knees. Yeah, we need Downs.
Guess what? You got him. So
I don't
we
have
had Josh Downs
after him,
here.
though.
You don't have a plan. I don't think there's any quarterback or tight end again that makes sense here. So let's look at running back. I mean, at wide receiver, you're down to Ibuka, Pittman, Kupp, Higgins. Running back, Pollard. If you wanted to have a Cam Ward out at quarterback as well is kind of interesting. I don't know.
What are the other receiver options here? Because I think for me, this is when I'm fine pivoting to receiver.
Ibuka, Pittman.
Ibuka doesn't really because we're going to miss out on Baker regardless here, but I like Ibuka. Why not?
Yeah, let's do it. He also, if we are going to set up a Tua stack, plays opposite Miami in week 17. And so that's always nice to get that. And I was going to say same with Pollard opposite the New Orleans stuff. But I think because we went Kamara and we have a really good base of running backs, getting that 5th wide receiver there feels pretty good.
I agree. And that's the thing with Kamara is I don't like sitting here in front of the deposit kingdom and taking my Kamara, but it allows you flexibility later on. And again, with the projections, I know, he's going to break down, he's going to suck, but it's really tough for me to stomach at 5'12", 601. Kamara is projected for 13.2 points per game and half PPR. The receivers you're looking at in that range, right, where we just took Olave, Jacoby Myers, Juwan Jennings. Juwan Jennings, his projection, I'm scrolling, dog, 10.09. That's putting that in your flex over Kamara. I know that I've been doing it forever. I know that maybe Jennings has the upside and maybe Kamara breaks down towards the end of the year, but it's just on the sum of the whole, that's a lot to turn down at 5'12", 601. You have to remember too, like in these boomer leagues, right? Like when we go to FFPC or ESPN, like he's like a 3-4 turn pick. So I don't know. I hate the aesthetic of taking Kamara on Underdog. I'm not overweight by any means. It's just somebody I've been mixing. Like I'm not going to take a 0. I have him at 4.4% right now. So I do want to make it. I want to make sure everyone knows I'm not hammering Kamara by any means, but there comes a point in time.
The lady doth protest too much. She's really afraid. You know, the Deposit Kingdom, do they have their preferences on players? Absolutely. Are they going to tar and feather you for selecting him 4 picks past ADP? I think you're okay, Ron. So we got our 3 running backs, 5 wide receivers. Now, the moment of truth here, Ron, we pick at 108, 109 at the 9-10 turn. Your guy, Luther Burden, has an ADP of 116. So it's a slight reach. I still consider him a value. I guess here's the question for you. Is this one of those spots where you're like, I only want cheap Burden, or would you be willing to pull him up here to 108, 109?
I'm against my own better judgment taking Burden ahead of 80. Like I'm just taking Burden. Like I'm not trying to extract maximum value. I don't know. There's certainly a scenario where I keep catching the falling knife and it blows up my face, whatever. But I just feel so strongly in terms of him as a part. Like I get Jaden Higgins is like the only round 2 guy who's signed so far. He's in like a similarly projected offense. But to me, Jaden Higgins is a worse prospect. And like Trey Harris can go off the board here. Keon Coleman just went, who over Luther Burden, I can't get there. So I don't know. Sometimes, I was just talking about like sometimes you got to be a mellowed out projection guy. You got to take Kamara when it makes sense. And sometimes you got to say, you guys are all wrong, like you guys are all wrong. Like Luther Burden is better than this. A cherry on top I was going to say on the questionnaire is my mom loves college football. Last year, Bo Nix was her guy. Really? Luther Burden has the Mrs. Stewart stamp of approval. So just something to know about. That's all I'm saying.
Your mom is in on Luther Burden? That's
she has
incredible.
A notebook that I gifted her where she watches college football and she writes down the names that pop to her. And then the NFL draft comes around and she'll have a couple guys she really likes.
That's adorable.
She's the
absolutely adorable. Okay, we're about to pick at 9-10. Some early tight ends and quarterbacks going here. Dak Prescott goes at 105. Is this a Caleb? Yes. We're on the clock. Is this Caleb?
Absolutely.
Luther Burden double tap here.
Let's do it. And then we might be done at receiver. I'll be honest with you.
I think you're right. It's certainly in play. And here's the thing, for your triple onesie, the real question is, can we get Burton to come back to 132? That's the sweat.
Oh, Loveland?
Sorry, I said Burton. Colson Loveland to come back exactly. So, I mean, there's been a little FUD on him lately with his shoulder just worried. But so I think this could work out really nicely if it comes back around.
That's what I'm saying. And I will say, too, we could definitely, if it presents itself, one more receiver, because we did take Kamara, we could go like 3-5-7-3, which is still kind of in that ballpark. But we can kind of, figure it out as we go.
All right, the final sweat is on. Can we get Colston Loveland to fall back to us at 132? It would accomplish a lot of our initiatives here. Positionally, we're at a 136. Like you said, we can probably be done at wide receiver. We got Caleb, we got Achane, Bric, Kamara, and then our 6 wide receivers here. Ron, one more. Oh no, did we lose him? We lost Loveland at 128. Come on. I thought that was in play. All right, we're on the clock here. I'll look at running back, tight end, quarterback. Anything jumping out to you? You like Tajay Spears there?
I like Spears a lot. I was going to say Tune would have been my guy, but he just went.
Yeah.
And then I assume you've got your eye on whatever stacks kind of makes sense in terms of like, obviously Fields is gone. Tua's probably next turn.
Yeah, we're probably another running back here or a tight end.
Is there a tight end that sets up a stack later? That would make sense at all? No. Let's go running back.
You want to Ray Davis, Trey Benson? You got a favorite there?
Yeah, let's go Ray Davis.
Okay. Yeah. So we got now. Let's talk this out because we want to get our triple onesie here. Do you draft Cole Kmet?
I don't hate it. At all. He's a good player.
Yeah, it is like you said, it gets tough. And we're not going to force anything into a bad team.
Yeah.
Laporta's
this is one of your 150 BBMs, so you tell me, brother.
I've done weirder. I mean, Jawan Johnson with Shock makes a ton of sense. If Tyler Warren would have fell back, that with Downs would have made sense. Yeah, the triple onesie thing might just not happen unless we set up some back stacks. I'll give you one, right? We take Tony Pollard, Cam Ward, and Chig is a great back stack.
I like that too.
So yeah, let's see. The one thing you miss out on.
No, we already have Spears.
That's what I mean.
Oh, you said Pollard.
God, man, I
not
can,
too like I don't care. I'll just say it.
No.
I don't care. But,
no, Spears and Cam Ward. With Chig, I think would be good.
That's probably my biggest. Like flaw as a best ball drafter, and why I'm kind of entrusting you with it is like, I thinking far enough. Like I was streaming the other day, and it was like I took Mahomes, and then I just stared Kelsey down and just like took somebody else because I just wasn't even really, like thinking through. Okay, this has to be Kelsey because I took Mahomes. So, kind of talking through this in terms of how we're setting this thing up. But we did Caleb. I think Ward makes sense, like you said. If we want to take, we could definitely do a swing on Richardson or Jones, but that's not going to get us to a tight end.
Yeah, let's look at the other tight ends in the pool. Obviously, Goddard, likely Jonnu with Roger.
Pitts Penix at this next turn is going to be available, but Tua go? Damn it, Tua went. What's his ADP? Dude. And who does Tony Romas have? 142
as his third quarterback. That is just mean.
Do you have Tyreek? Okay, fine.
He has Tyreek, but I mean, okay. Yeah, normally Tua will fall there a bit, but I guess we are competing with both the Hill and Waddle drafter. So, if it wasn't him, it was probably going to be the Waddle drafter here at 151. So that might have just been one where we would have had to have thought that through more of like, we need to reach. But I like Tua. But the thing is you can get him so cheap in some rooms that like the 130 Tua picks never feel good.
I agree. I've got him in the 150s plenty of times.
One nice thing, again, to consider if we're thinking about the quarter, and then he goes off the board. I was going to say Bryce Young, too, because he's opposite JSN week 17, and you could set up the Jatavian and stuff there. I think Cam Ward is a pretty big priority here for us at this turn. And then the question is, like, how do we feel about Darnold? Or do we want to save it for, say, one of the Colts quarterbacks late, even if our triple onesie dream dies?
Are we still out on Shuck Jawan? I mean,
I'm not.
I think that's how we would save it.
You're right, because it would have to involve Komet, Jawan, and hang on. So Shuck just went 155. Are we getting trolled?
No.
Are we getting trolled?
We're not even streaming right now.
What is going on?
So it has to be Ward. I mean, that's insane. All right.
What the hell?
All right. That's 1 in a million.
That is crazy.
Now I think this. We have 0 tight ends right now. What do you want to do?
Should we take Pitts and abandon the QB tight end stacks?
We should, but the other 2 will be stacked, and that's
the other 2 will be. Chris, my editor, I just want to let you know we do these videos. We try to get the green checks. It's so satisfying. If we are able to get Jawan and the other checks, petition to go yellow. Can we request yellow instead of red on this completed challenge? Who is this madman? Let's see here. This has to be a troll because they know we have Kamara and Olave.
They could have done that like 2 rounds from now. Like
he doesn't have a single Saints player and had to take Shuck. Beard back 422. That's a troll, Ron.
He didn't even do like you said. He didn't even like. Maybe it was a star method, right? Maybe he had a Saint and he did a star method, and it happens to the best of us. But man. I mean, I hate being so torn up about missing on Tyler Shuck, but that's a rough one. That's why we play the game.
All right, we got to recover, get our heads back on straight. We have 4 more picks. Obviously, Chig is a pretty big pick for us on the Cam Ward selection. We know we need at least another tight end, and then potentially we maybe want to go Darnold here. With JSN would be a pretty good value, or we could go with one of the Colts quarterbacks as well.
Let's go Darnold for sure. I think Darnold makes a ton of sense. Arroyo, if we want to get crazy for that 3rd tight end.
You know what we do, Ron? we take
What?
Kirk Cousins as a QB4 just to get stacked up Kyle Pitts, and then we can play.
No.
Okay, so Darnold falls. I guess it's only a few picks past ADP, but I think Darnold there, and I kind of think we just pull up Chig slightly ahead of ADP to lock up that stack. What do you think?
I think that's a good call.
So we get Darnold here. And one cool thing about this team from the correlation stuff, maybe we should have, I guess one benefit of going with Jawan Jennings was that would have been opposite our Caleb stack to have a San Francisco piece, but we still get the New Orleans correlation because we play the Cam Ward stack opposite the New Orleans pieces. So either way, it led us to a stack there.
I don't mind that at all. Now,
So
I will
here's
say,
Oh yeah.
if you wanted to, now I'm not going to push it, but I'm saying 4 tight end could work here, but we can definitely just keep it to 3. I'm just trying to think through what we're gonna get a 3rd tight end and then kind of what that last pick looks like. I'm open to whatever, but I think it could be anywhere.
Yeah, let's talk it through because, like you said, quarterback we're good. Caleb, Cam Ward, and Sam Darnold. Running backs: Devon Achane, Breece Hall, Alvin Kamara, Tajay Spears, Ray Davis. I mean, that's 3
Solid.
up top. Spears and Ray Davis. Like, that's not even like throwaway 4 5s there. The 6 wide receivers: Amon-Ra, JSN, Olave, Downs, Igbuka, Burden.
Maybe a 7th receiver now that I'm looking at it. So we have a lot of rookies too.
Yeah, I mean, the 4 at the top are really solid: Amon-Ra, JSN, Olave, Downs, and then Igbuka, Burden could be a little slower. I do think it's probably a 7th wide receiver, but I think you could make the case if like the wide receiver, like there were no good options, that like the 4th tight end would make sense.
I agree. Now, I will be honest, like when you have a team like this and you're looking at the 18th round, are you more tempted? Because I think all of our quarterbacks are correlated here. Are you more tempted for that last receiver to be like week 17 correlated on the other side, or just attached to the quarterback?
So this would be a spot where I think I would lean in because there are some viable candidates, right? Like Lockett and Iomanor, I think are both draftable. Yeah. I actually think MVS isn't the worst thing on Sam Darnold teams. So I think this would be a spot. You know, there are a couple players that I don't mind unstacked, like De'Ami Brown's a guy I go to a lot, Keenan Allen, but like past those two, like all of these plays I would kind of want to be correlated otherwise.
I agree. It just I just would hate for it to be a 0, but it's like it could be a 0 on another team. So
yeah, exactly. It's if you're debating between 2 zeros, might as well take the 0 on the stacks you've already set up. So what about the tight end angle here? I think if we do the Komet thing, we probably should go 4 tight ends, but I think we could also do like Jatavian Sanders as a bring back on the Seattle stuff. And I almost prefer that more than the Arroyo stacked up.
I don't hate that call.
But I'm curious I'll put a few options.
I don't hate.
Here.
I mean, Jawan's an option too. Bring back on Ward. Sanders, I just don't love. Is really my issue with him.
Okay.
I just think Carolina has so many tight ends. And I think
the only thing. Do you feel okay with 3 New Orleans without the QB?
I think so. Because what if Shuck gets sat down? I mean, that's not great for our correlation either, but I don't mind it.
Okay, so do you have a preference on, I think as a 7th wide receiver, do you want Iomanor or Lockett?
Let's go Lockett because we're so rookie heavy. I know it's obviously not sexy, but
yeah, I mean, Igbuka Burden, I guess Ward obviously is included in there, but yeah, I don't mind. I've been trying to split my bets there, but you're right. We go Igbuka and Burden. Let's have Lockett to kind of buy the time until those guys really cook. Yeah, you want to go 3 here and just say screw that person who sniped us on.
Beard back.
Let's do it. I just noticed another little correlation here thanks to the Draft Caddy. You guys can get this caddy over at the in-game syndicate, thedraftcaddy.com. But we get Jets playing New Orleans in week 16 opposite that stack, Breece and all of those Jets. So that works out well.
Hell yeah. And I would argue, you know, my bold take, that isn't a bold take, is that week 16 might even be more important than week 17. Some are saying, Pete, over is that?
Some are saying. All right, I'm going to recap this team, get your final thoughts, and we can go through our challenges as well. Caleb Williams, Cam Ward, Sam Darnold. We do go the triple onesies because we get Kyle Pitts, Chigakonko, Jawan Johnson, so that works out. Our running backs, Achane, Breece Hall, Kamara, Spears, Ray Davis. Wide receivers, Amon-Ra, JSN, Olave, Downs, Igbuka, Burden, Lockett. So triple onesies, check. Luther Burden, check. Two a stack. Almost. We set it up with Achane, didn't get there. Quarterback tight end stacks. What do we do? One of three there. And then, we didn't even consider Tyler Conklin.
Oh, we didn't even consider Tyler Conklin. But we never had Herbert. It's fine. Whatever.
Hang on. But now I'm going back in time. Herbert went at 140 and we passed on, dude, should we have taken Justin Herbert at 133 and then backdoor stacked him with the Conklin setup?
Ray Davis should have been Tua or Herbert, if I'm being honest. That's really the issue, is when you're thinking through the quarterback tight end correlation or just like quarterback correlation in general, the turn there is tough. Like there's like I was very set on, okay, Spears, like honestly most of these picks I'm like, Pete, I got the first one, like I don't know what we're doing next though. And then you got 20 seconds to think through it.
Yes. That was it's so funny. I think it means that I didn't take your Tyler Conklin suggestion seriously enough because I never thought about it during the entire draft.
I have 8% of them, so
there you go. You just pretend that you have 4% for you and 4% for me, and I don't have to draft it on my account. How about that? Ron Stewart, got to check out the Ron Stewart YouTube channel. Got the Patreon ranks. What other things are you working on that the YouTube peeps should check out?
Man, just a ton of redraft content, rankings, targets, fades, all of that is on the Ron Stewart YouTube channel. And then for usually what I'm going to do is I'll be streaming pretty much every day from August 1st through kickoff. I know a lot of Pete's audience is guys who love the streams and like seeing what you're doing on the clock. Those are super fun, where I'll every once in a while I'll hop into like a main event solo and put my nuts on the table and the whole chat is roasting me and saying you're doing this, but it's just like really fun. A lot of people come in and almost like drafting with the chat, some of these high stakes teams. So high stakes, underdog, all of that will be going on pretty much from now through the end of August into the season. All of that, definitely more redraft managed focus, but some best ball as well.
Well, we will also sync up together with the ship chasing crew for a high stakes draft this summer as well. Love doing this video with Ron. Last year was one of the more popular draft style videos we did. So thank you again to Ron for his time. If you guys missed it, the previous video, all on the Eliminator 2025 strategy, I've gotten a ton of positive feedback about that video. If you're interested in dabbling in that contest, I can't imagine drafting without watching that video first. So check that out. Subscribe on your guys' way out. As always, if you guys have suggestions of people you'd like to see here on the channel, let me know. We're going to have a lot of fun videos here in the next couple of months, including some of the hits, Best Ball Bros. We'll have the True Serum series back again. So excited for a big July and August here around the kingdom. We'll see you guys next time.